In this video, I'll be talking about forms, and forms are actually so easy and powerful. Alright, if we go to Facebook, you'll find a login, whole thing. These things called forms. This one called form, and this one called form, and this form, and this is a form. You can check it and uncheck it. All these things called forms. How we do that? It's easy. Let me just go and do it for you. Alright. So you just define a form, and between this is your content or what the form will be. For example, a login or a name, asking for your name or asking for your email or password. This is what you are going to put over there. But in forms we have two things, thing called label, alright, and thing called input. Alright, so what is a label? If I just write name, alright, so you're gonna get the point. Alright, so by this moment I think you know what does that mean. If I just make another one and I say email, alright, so this is how we do it. The thing that you notice that this is unclosable, you know why? Because it's unclosable tag. Alright, the input is unclosable, by the way. So this is how we do it. So you find these things and you're asking yourself when you go to any web page how they do this. This is how actually they do it. They make these things called label and inputs and inside it the form. Alright, so now the thing that you need is to add attributes to the form, either if this is an email or what you are going to write over here is a text or anything. Alright, so let's get started. And the name, you have to give it a type. Alright, and for each input we have types. You have button, checkbox, colors, email, file, hidden, and reset, search, time, week, date, password. There's a lot of things. But for name, you just type text. Alright, because the email or the name, you can type text. Alright, so this is what the name needs. Alright, but the email needs type of email. You know why? Because if we type text and you log in, alright, it will be easy for you just to do this and log in, but this is not an email. But if you just give it a type of email and you type this thing, you cannot log in. So this is what email does, right? So now what we will do is basically put email to the next line. Alright, now I put it on the next line. Let me actually copy this thing. Alright, now I want to make a password. How we do that? Simple as that. You just go label and you can type anything. You can type pass or password and you just give it the input of a type password. You know why? Because when you want to type a password, you do not want anyone to see it. So if I type now, as you see, it will be hidden because I give it the type of password. See how powerful this thing is? Let me just delete it now and do another thing. What if I want to set my date? It's easy. Let me just add this and let me label something that I will say date. And I'll give it the input of type date. Alright, there is date time, date, and date time local, but the date is the used one. Alright, now I can type my month, my days, my years. Or actually, if it want to be easier, you can just do this, you can just do this, and you can just do this. But you can also click on this arrow and it will open this nice table. You can choose your date. Did you see? And if you click the X one, it will be deleted. Alright, now let me make another things called radios. Alright, I will explain what are these things. Let me just label for each one. If I ask you to write, for example, or actually to choose your operating system, either if you are using Windows, Mac, or Linux. Alright, so how I do that? First of all, I will say choose your operating system. Alright, Oh, that's rude to say, because system should have an E before the M, alright? I know that. And I will give a label, another label, for saying, for example, Windows. Alright, let me just give it, put in the next line. I will say input, and I will give it the type of input with the type of radio, right? Alright, so for this window, we have this thing to click, so we can select this one. Did you get the point? And here we just label it. You can just give it a paragraph instead. You can do that, absolutely. Just can P, we don't need this because paragraphs are block elements. Alright, now we have Windows. I want to give another operating system. Let me just copy this. I will say Mac, and I will say Linux. So I can choose one of these. But the problem is, if I choose this Windows and I choose Mac and I choose Linux, I can't choose all of these. What if I want to choose only one thing? I should, combine or give them one group so they can only be selected once. Alright, so I have to give them a group. How we give them a group that, combine them? You just go and give them a name attribute equal quotes, and you have to put anything you want. For example, I will say operating, or actually OS. OS stands for operating system. You can just type anything you want. I will give them the name of OS, alright? Alright, you can just do that, OS, and you give this OS, alright? And what does this thing say? Say in this name you can only store one thing, and if they have the same name, they only can be stored once. So now if I have Mac, I cannot have Linux. If I have Windows, I cannot have Mac. Did you get the point? But if you do not want that, you can just give them different names. Alright, and now I want to give you something else called text area. It's not an input, it's not written like this one, but it's text area. And I will explain what is this. Alright, let me just PR and PR. Alright, and I will label it. I will say label, type your message. Alright, so now in this place, this text area stands for, writing a comment, writing a message to a friend, or anything. You find these things in other websites that you have passed through, alright? But the problem is, these things are below each other, beside each other. I don't know why. You just add the PR between them. Alright, let me just PR. Another PR. Alright, so I can type my message over here. But what if I want to make this one much bigger? How we do that? We just go to the text area and we give them calls. For example, I will give it actually 50 calls, right? 50 columns. And I will give them rows. I will give them, for example, 10. Did you get the point? So it's much bigger for me to write a lot of things. Did you get it? Alright, now what if I want to make a login button, or I want to make, for example, a cancel button? How we do that? Alright, let me just make BR so we can go to the next line, and let me add these things. These things doesn't have to be labeled. We don't have to do this. You just need to put an input, all that you need. Alright, you just go input with a type of either you have submit or either you have reset. Alright, but for now I will explain everything after doing it. I will choose submit, and now after finishing your information you can submit your information. But if you want to cancel your information, let me make another input with the type of cancel. Alright, no, not cancel, actually reset. So this will reset your information. If I typed anything, oops, nice reset, everything will be deleted. Did you see? But if I submit, it will be submitted. Alright, but what if I want to change this? Instead of submit, I want to be login and this is cancel. How we do that? We do not go to there and we say actually login. We just go and give them a value. How we do that? Beside it, you just go and type a value equal and we give it a value. Alright, I will say login. Alright, and over here I'll give it a value and I will say cancel. Alright, and everything will be alright. Now if I change type anything and I choose any operating system and I log in or cancel, let me cancel, everything will be deleted. But for now, what if I want to make a checkbox saying, do you agree with the information? Let me just do that before the login and the cancel. Just over here. Alright, let me just give it a label. Say, do you agree with this information? Alright, and I will give it an input with a type of checkbox. Alright, so this is what it used for checking things, and let me just give br, so we are away from the login and the cancel. Alright, so we just can go, let me just put that over there. Right, now I can just put this and delete it, or I can put it or uncheck it, I mean. Alright, so if I do anything, I can just type everything and check this one and login or cancel. But actually if you just type or choose login, nothing will be. Did you see this? I did not mention this in the email, in the type email. If you log in, they say please and include at and in the email address. So this is a problem. You have to add an at like this and you put your email. Did you see? So this is all about forms and inputs and labels. See you in the next lecture.